Everybody, did you get me started yet?
Yes.
Welcome everybody, I'm Joanna. My company is Nutrition in Motion, and I'm going to talk today about how to find your sparkle and shine from inside out. What I do with my clients, my company is Nutrition in Motion, but basically I help to identify where your pain is. And the pain is usually physical, mental, spiritual, or emotional. And then I use the holistic nutrition, path to heal energy work and the essential oils to basically bring the body back to balance so that you have unconditional self-love and you feel basically amazing, and that usually shows on the outside. Anybody that's coming in, I do have a handout at the back of the class if you want to pick that up on your way in. So if at any time you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand, ask me any questions. I don't mind being, if you need any clarifications or anything like that. I'm here to kind of help you make the connection between the emotional, the nutritional, the spiritual, and the physical, because it's all related. And sometimes you have to get whacked over the head in order to make that connection. And I had my first whack over the head in 2000. I was an athlete. I did my first Ironman race, which I don't know if you're familiar with triathlon, but you know, Ironman, it's a big event. It's 2.5 mile swim, 112 mile bike, and a 26.2 marathon after that. And you know, I thought it was fun and games, but it was something that I finished that. Great accomplishment, obviously. I did it under the time goal that I wanted, and 5 months later, I can't get out of bed. And I'm walking to the mailbox, and my heart rate is higher than it was when I did the whole race. So there seems to be a problem here. And you know, part of it was my body was completely exhausted. That is when I had to learn that nutrition was part of my healing. And it's one of the tools that I use in order to help the body heal itself, because the body has a natural ability to heal. It's just a matter of identifying what is the cause of the issue, and then how do you bring the balance back. Obviously, with adrenal exhaustion, being a competitive athlete, adrenal fatigue wasn't enough, you know, and those adrenals are your fight and flight glands that are on the kidneys, and you can keep going for a really long time, and if you don't mind, it doesn't matter, so you just keep going. And if you're a type A personality, like I call myself a temper type A now, but when you're a competitive athlete, you could just push yourself through all sorts of things. And if you don't mind, it doesn't matter, and you just keep going until your body starts, you know, giving you signs that it's breaking down. Well, it doesn't matter because I got to go do my workout. It doesn't matter because I got to go do my sales calls. It doesn't matter because I got to, you know, I got to be this person that shows up because for the family events, you know, I got to be this, I got to be that. And you start having all this self-dialogue of all these things that you have to do, but you keep going until literally one day, you know, you get whacked over the head and you can't move. So where do you start? For me, it started with, obviously I had to slow down, but I had to understand where are my stresses coming from. I had emotional stress, I had mental stress, I had obviously physical stress, and I had some probably spiritual misalignment that at the time I wasn't aware of. But I had to start with what makes me happy, and not what makes my family happy. Because that comes up too often, that the family stuff, you start making decisions to make somebody else happy. But really, what makes you happy? That's what you have to decide on first, is what makes you happy. Well, guess what? Movement was something that makes me happy. And even when I went into my doctor's office, which I was seeing him every 2 weeks, I walked in one day, still looking like death, because that's what I look like. But he said, you know, your body needs to move. Your body craves activity. And pretty much I have to move, you know, but I found the activities that make my heart sing. Going and riding my bike is the thing that makes my heart sing. Swimming, I really enjoy that. Yoga, that's something that I started to do when I relapsed with the adrenal exhaustion. But that actually helped me get out of my head and more into my body and just feel a little bit more grounded. At first, I avoided the yoga because I was like, oh, that's all frou-frou stuff, you know. I need something that's, you know, powerful, because that's who I am, right? I'm just a powerful. But I was more powerful on the outside than I was on the inside, and that's where the spiritual disconnect was. So I think I discovered Bikram yoga, and that was, you know, that was more like power yoga. So it was a challenge, but then I realize that there's this other thing that it was giving me. And it was giving me that calmness in the rest of my body that I needed. So I incorporate that into my weeks as well. So it's trying to find what activity makes your heart sing, but it could be dancing. It could be journaling. It could be writing. It could be walking. It could be a whole bunch of things. I also needed to figure out, okay, I'm a social being. I need to be around people. But if I went back to my triathlon training groups, I was like, oh great, they're gonna make me competitive again, and I'm gonna be challenged to keep up. But I have to allow my body to heal. But I needed the social interaction, so I went. And I swam in my own lane. I ran in my own little spot, so I was kind of with them, but I had to somehow disconnect from what everybody else was doing so that it wouldn't influence what it is that I needed. And that still runs true now, that I still have to disconnect from what everybody else thinks I need, and really, what do I need? And what part of what I do is help you get to that place of what is it that you need? What makes your heart sing? Is it an emotional issue that you're dealing with that's driving the nutrition choices? Is it a physical condition that needs rebalancing? If you've got IBS, that's a physical imbalance in the gut, but that'll affect your brain. That'll affect the way you view life. But it also then affects the choices that you're making for yourself or not making for yourself, because you're choosing other people's choices as your own. So part of what I do with the energy work is to try to identify, okay, where's the disconnect with you honoring what your needs are? Sometimes it's just having a discussion. Sometimes I use the path to heal to actually uncover, is it a generational belief that's been carried on and passed on that we're just holding on to in our energy field? Is it something that the nutrition is going to help to bring out the real you, or is the nutrition going to help you stay where you are? Because if you think more about the emotional aspect of how you choose foods, a lot of times instead of dealing with the emotion and actually loving the emotion a little bit more and actually embracing it as it's okay, and then being able to work through it and letting it go, we bury it inside. And that creates negativity. That starts the imbalance in the gut, and then the whole cascade starts. But then we choose the foods that end up feeding the emotion as opposed to feeding our soul. Does that make sense? So it's trying to identify, if you can see on the sheet that I gave you, there's a nice little chart there of the 4 quadrants that I put in here: spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical. They're all related to nutrition. They can all be corrected with energy work, and they can all be corrected with essential oils. It's just a matter of where are you in your journey to self-discovery in order to know which part to put together and which ones are going to help to what degree. It's not, when I'm working with clients, I don't want to work with you forever. I want to help you get to that next level. If you don't know what better is, I'm going to help you figure out what better is. If you're not feeling great, sometimes it's just the energy work that you need. Maybe it's coming to the Embody the Wholeness of Your Life group classes that I have, because then you've got the group energy as well. Sometimes it's, you need something just for you, and you don't want anybody to hear your stuff. So we do the private sessions. Sometimes it's just creating a custom essential oil blend, because the essential oils help heal those emotions so that you don't actually have to think about it, So it's kind of, and then of course the nutrition typically comes into play, because you got to change the nutrition, otherwise you're not going to feel better. If you've got a gut imbalance, if you don't change the nutrition, you can take all the supplements in the world, you can take all the medication in the world, but they're just covering up the symptom. I've got one client that I've been seeing, and we only changed the nutrition 2 weeks ago, but in 2 weeks she's got more energy and stamina. Her bowel movements are more regular. Her digestion is better. She's sleeping better. All the things that the previous nutrition person that she had worked with just basically said, you're not eating because you've got an eating disorder. She doesn't have an eating disorder. I sat with her for an hour to find out what she's about first, and then find out, why are you not eating? And it ended up being that she's not eating because she's bored with the suggestions that the medical field had given her. Lucky for her and for me, she loves to cook. So I just had to devise a 3-day eating plan for her And she's actually, she's coming to the weekly group classes as well. But she's having a lot of shifts, and she's now starting to honor her soul and honor her body and what her body needs. So even just 2 weeks later, I'm not saying that everybody's going to get the, wow, I feel 100% better in 2 weeks, but I do have some clients that in 2 weeks they feel, 90% better from where they were. And they've had these issues for 2 years, 2 months, 10 years. It's about looking at where the cause is. But we're working on that spiritual aspect, the emotional aspect, and the physical aspect all at the same time. Because you need to address all those things because they're all connected. Does that make sense? So going back to when I was a little sick, that was 17 years ago. So I had to figure out what makes me happy, right? And that's a lot of the discussion that I have with my clients is, what makes you happy? What makes your heart sing? Why isn't that not in your everyday life? Why is that not a priority? Oh, because I got to do work. Oh, because my boyfriend this. Oh, because my mom this. Oh, there's all these excuses of other people wanting the best for you. But quite honestly, they don't know you. You're only trying to figure out who you are. It's trying to really go inside, go into your heart. Ask yourself, what really makes my heart sing? What did I do when I was a child that just made me happy? And athletics was something that just made me happy. Building stuff with my hands made me happy. That's where I started making jewelry too. So this is actually some of the jewelry that I make. But it's something that just made me happy. I could build something with my hands, and the gemstones are also healing as well. So that's a question that I ask a lot of my clients is, what makes you happy? Because we've got to find a way to help you incorporate that into your everyday, so that you have at least, even if it's only 10 minutes of happiness a day, you've got 10 minutes of happiness a day. My family didn't recognize me as an athlete, except for my dad. My father was the only one that was like, great, I've got 4 daughters. I've got one that kind of acts like a son. She's an athlete. She's going to do stuff with me. So my dad was really the only one that understood me, even when I was growing up, but he was never there because he was traveling all the time with work. So then I had to, fight the rest of the family paradigm because girls are not supposed to be athletes. Well, but that's what makes my heart sing. When I was an athlete, that's where I didn't have any judgment. People liked me the way I was. I could be me, and it didn't matter. I'd go home. Guess what? I'd have to go put that mask on and say, okay, this is who they want me to be because that's who they'll like. But I couldn't be me. But this is exactly why I had to get whacked over the head with adrenal exhaustion, is because I had to start figuring out who me was, and I had to start changing that rapport with the family. But the change of the rapport with the family wasn't necessarily, hey, you, I got a problem. You got to fix it. That doesn't work. It's about understanding, It's about helping them understand who you are and you understanding why they're reacting that way and why they're dumping it on you. And sometimes that's what they're doing. They want to share their stuff with you, or they want to they see that you're doing well in something and they're like, no, let's make that not so exciting for them and just criticize them because it's not right. Well, it's not right according to who? I now have a book that I put together because I started channeling messages. Well, it finally came time that, I got to share these messages with others. And family members are here to actually help us learn our lessons. They're not really doing anything because they don't love us, and sometimes I would say, oh God, that's the strangest way of loving me if you're going to be doing that. And it really is. But criticism doesn't really help you find self-love. You've got to find the self-love inside of you in order to be able to handle the criticism that's thrown at you. And sometimes it feels like it's thrown at you. But most of the time, the criticism isn't about you. It's their issue that they want to share. It's their issue they want to unload. It's their jealousy. They don't want you to be at a better level than they are on whatever aspect it is. Maybe you're not fitting into the family dynamics. I didn't for years. I still don't. But you know what? My family loves me the way I am, and my friends love me the way I am. But it took years for me to love me the way I am. And it's part of the eating better to honor what I need. exercise because that's what makes my heart sing. You know, people wonder, why do you get up how can you get up at, 5:30 to go run before the 8 o'clock breakfast meeting? Because that's what I need to be a functional human. You know, this is what I need to do. When I went to visit my parents in August, my mom's like, you don't need to go to the gym. You're only here for 4 days. Like, no, I need to go to the gym or do something because you're not going to be liking my company if I don't do something, And it used to be really fun when I would go because my dad would meet me at the gym, and so we would go swimming together. So, and then, it would be social hour when dad showed up, which was a nice thing. But now I know where I got that social aspect from, is from my dad. But he was doing something that he enjoyed doing, and I was doing something that I enjoyed doing, and we could do it together. So we spent that quality time, but my mom still was like, you don't need that. But I do. So I'll do it while you're sleeping, don't worry. So you won't even notice that I'm gone. So it's really trying to help you find who you are at your core and just kind of chip away at the layers. And sometimes the energy work, and I've done the Path to Heal work now for 7 years, and I've been a practitioner for 7 years. I'm now a master practitioner as of 2 years ago. Actually, 2 years ago last week. So that has actually really opened up my ability to love me, find that love and compassion for me first so that I can share that love and compassion for everybody else. It's enabled me in my practice to be that much more loving and compassionate with everybody else too. Because a lot of times that's what you need, is just that love, compassion, and understanding. Your choices don't define you. I mean, maybe they do, but they really don't. A lot of times if you can just change that perspective of, that didn't work right. That was my lesson to learn this. Rather than, nothing's working, I'm just going to give up. It's really our opportunity to grow and to heal. And most of the opportunities are here just to help us grow. I'm just one of the people to help facilitate that growth. Because the more you become you, the more you sparkle and shine from inside out. The more, that you honor your body's needs for the right nutrition, the more balance you have internally, the more productivity you have, the more energy you have to go do the activities that you want, the better quality of sleep you have because you don't have the anxiety that's worrying you about what everybody's going to think, the judgment, the shame, and the embarrassment. Who cares? Laugh and just move on. It's about trying to find that unconditional love for yourself first so that you can have the love to share with everybody else. The more love that you find internally, the more your heart expands. It's kind of like the Grinch, when his heart grew, what happened? He gave back all the toys. He had a party with everybody else. He was more giving. That's really what it's about. The more we can give of who we really are, the more we can shine our gifts with others as well. And it's really about helping you tap into what are your gifts? What are the things that make you happy? And then help create that path so that you can get there. And sometimes it's using the nutrition to help balance out the physical issues. Whether you've got pain on a physical level, your hips are stiff, your knees ache, everything hurts. You might need the anti-inflammatory diet. You might be choosing those foods that are feeding the emotional pain, but those are also inflammatory foods. Sugar is one of those where it tastes great, it really does. It gives you lots of energy, but how long? Not a lot at all. The chocolate isn't necessarily the problem in terms of what to choose, but how you view yourself eating the chocolate oftentimes becomes the issue. So it's a little bit of a nutrition issue that as you misbalance that blood sugar and it's constantly spiking and dropping, you're going to have more mood swings because every time it spikes, you're like, woo, this is awesome. And then every time it drops, you're like, I'm tired, I'm cranky, I'm irritable, who's the jerk that did that? It's everybody else's problem, right? But it's really, if we just balance out the blood sugar, the mood swings go away. You can start, chewing your food. You start actually choosing foods that are a little bit more balanced and help you to function a little bit better during the day so that you're not dead tired at night. If chocolate is what you're eating, I have a book that I use that typically will give you the probable meaning of what some of the emotional cravings mean for certain foods. Chocolate typically is one that is not feeling loved or having issues with your love life. It's something, it's all about, you're missing love somewhere in your world. For me, it's like, yeah, okay, that's part of it, but I use chocolate for celebrating. I use chocolate for when I'm kind of bummed. I use it because it just tastes good. The chocolate's not the problem. And every Easter, you're supposed to give something up for Lent, right? Because I'm Catholic and that's what we're supposed to do. So what's one of the worst things what's the hardest thing for me to do? Give up chocolate. And then my birthday is always right smack in the middle of it. So I could make it pretty much to my birthday and then forget it. So I could make it like 3 weeks and my life sucks. I mean, it is just like, this is the worst, hardest thing for me to ever do. But it doesn't change my weight. It doesn't change anything except for my quality of life. And it's like, well, why am I giving up something that actually affects my quality of life? Why don't I change the way I view the chocolate? Because I'm not a terrible person just because I eat chocolate. None of you are terrible people because you have chocolate. Nobody's a terrible person because, they ate half a gallon of ice cream. But if you start paying attention to how do you really feel after you ate that ice cream, you might not actually continue eating the ice cream. So it's really trying to identify where is the disconnect between honoring you. Is it a physical thing? Is it an emotional thing? Is it spiritual? Or is it physical? And that's what I try to do is correct those things. So I'm going to do a little raffle. This is my new book. I started channeling messages several years ago. And I thought it would be really cool at some point that I was like, it would be really cool if I could channel messages from Wayne Dyer. And this was like after he passed a few years ago. And then the next day I got a message from Wayne Dyer, and then I kept getting messages from Wayne, I've got some here from John Roger, which is part of another spiritual guru. I have some with the two of them together. I have one from God, from Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. So they're all just little vignettes of messages. Choose peace and happiness. Beauty is all around you. That was one thing where when I had my adrenal exhaustion, I went to see a medical intuitive. And she just called me like the walking death. Like, I just see a shell of a person, And looking back, I'm like, oh yeah, she was pretty much right. Because I was just a shell of a person. My body almost basically shut down. And I ignored it. Because remember, if you don't mind, it doesn't matter. So I just kept going like a car on fumes for 3 months. And here I was. And she said, you're like a horse with blinders on. You're just walking. You're so focused. You're not seeing anything around you. The beauty is all around you, and you're not seeing a bit of it. And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm focused. I'm a type A. Come on. This is. But that was my first, swift kick in the ass, so to speak, of stopping to pay attention. What's really around me? This year, I don't know what happened to my rose bush in the front of my house, but usually it's about this big, and this year it's like huge. And it's got just amazing flowers on it this year, and I'm like, I don't know what I did because I want to duplicate it next year. I don't know if it's all the rain that we had. I don't know if it's the stuff that I put on it, but the one next to it is dinky like it normally is, and this one's just huge. But every time I see it, I'm like, oh my God. This is like the most beautiful thing. It just brings me so much joy to see this thing. It's a flower. But you know what? It's about seeing those little things that are around you that bring you that joy. It might not be the hill repeats that I did because, that's one of the things that bring me joy too, is going and doing hill repeats on my bicycle just because I think it's fun. Most people are like, you need your head examined. And I'm like, no, I think it's fun, So it's really trying to find that balance of where do you find the things that make you happy? You need to have a message channeled to you so you get your, maybe not the whack in the head, but maybe it's just a swift nudge to kind of go in the direction that you need to go into. Maybe you just need to schedule some time to do some energy work to identify where is the gap, I'm going to be raffling off one of these today, so I've got Bill here, who's my trusty assistant.
Should I pass these out?
Yeah, so I'm going to, I'm gonna ask you all to just fill it out. If you want to put your phone number and contact information, that would be great. And then I'll let you know when the book is actually finalized and published, because these are still in the proof stage. But I'm gonna actually read. So the one that I just chose, it says, choose love, not food. We all have challenges in life. When we are faced with a challenge, it is easier to use food for comfort than it is to find happiness and walk away from the relationship or choose a different path. We get comfortable with what is familiar. We are scared of stepping out of our comfort zone and choosing what makes us truly happy. And I could keep going, but it might take a little while. So these are all things where it's kind of like our bodies want happiness. Our bodies want fun. Our bodies want love, encouragement, relaxation, and care. If you're not getting those things, it's time to start focusing on one of those things and seeing, okay, what can I work on first? Maybe I've got a program called Be Whole. It actually encompasses all the things that I'm talking about today into one program. So we do some of the nutrition, we do the energy work, we do the essential oils, we help you get onto that path of honoring who you are. And maybe it's you just want to become more spiritual, you want to tap into your intuition again. I had a client that's been coming to the weekly group classes, and she just told me yesterday, she's like, you have no idea. I used to be really intuitive when I was a kid, and I totally shut that down. Your classes have totally changed that. Doing the Be Whole program with you totally has changed that. I am now like reconnected to that, what my friends call, she's a witch thing, where I can tell people where they lost things, where to find it. She's really connecting back to her intuition, and it's really making her heart sing. It was a part of her that she closed off because of the fear of embarrassment, the fear of being judged and criticized, And this is a regular theme, not that everybody wants to become more intuitive, but it's a regular theme of we have a fear of being criticized and judged. And so we do everything in our power to stop getting judged. So we do things to not be judged, but then we're the furthest away from ourselves and the furthest away from sparkling and shining ourselves. And as we sparkle and shine more ourselves, then others will start actually doing the same thing and wanting to have that same feeling and have that same ability to honor their needs and not feel bad about it. And it's not about being selfish, but when you are honoring your needs, you are saying yes to you, not yes to everybody else. You're not saying no to everybody else, you're just saying yes to you. So it's about, having that dialogue with yourself, and I just help with the Be Whole program, the Path to Heal energy work, the nutrition and the essential oils to kind of bring it all together and help you have that roadmap so that you know where to start. I don't want you to have adrenal exhaustion. I don't want you to have chronic IBS. I don't want you to have, all these bad things constantly happening to you, because these things are sometimes just the nudge that you need to kind of change the way you're looking at it, change the way you're doing things. And working with somebody who at least understands that it's really, you're not the problem, you're not broken. The thing is that's I think a lot of what society says is we're all broken, you need to fix it. Well, we're not broken, we're actually whole. But we have holes instead of feeling whole. So we're trying to plug up the holes, not with just silly putty, but we're trying to actually figure out what created the holes and how can we regenerate those holes so that you are whole again, W-H-O-L-E, instead of whole, H-O-L-E. Does that make sense? So now you've got to collect them all again too. Does anybody have any questions right now? Anybody have any questions? Yes.
Where do you practice at?
I practice in North Wales, so it's about 35 minutes east of here.
Oh, east of here.
Yeah, I do a lot of things on the phone too. So even like the weekly embody the wholeness of your life and basically to fall in love with your life again. Those are weekly classes on Monday nights and Tuesdays. You can do them in person or call in on the phone. I've got clients from Florida and from Chicago calling in too. So it's really, it's something that energy travels. and the healing travels. And when it's in that group dynamic, it also it can amplify the energy, and the insights come from more different directions, because we might all have a similar underlying issue and a generational belief that got passed on, but we're all manifesting it in a different way. So it's really kind of cool coming to the classes. They're also a lot more affordable, but they're $20 for a drop-in fee, and I sell them in a series of 8. So it's really a lot of fun, and that's Bill has actually come to some of those.
Very nice classes. She does a great job.
Yeah, thank you. So I suckered him into helping me today. He's gonna get one of the books too. So I also have a sheet with all the classes that I do, because you might want to look at some of the other things. So I do the nutrition, which is I've got the Behold program, which is nutrition, energy work, and the essential oils. I do the holistic nutrition. I also do sports nutrition, because athletes like to work with athletes, and we have a whole different mindset than most other people. And then I do an anti-inflammatory diet predominantly, and all about balancing the blood sugar. Then I also do the custom essential oils, and I do the Path to Heal energy work, and the classes on essential oils too. So if you want to just learn more about the essential oils, then I do some classes on those as well. I'm not here to sell you on a program for essential oils, but I want you to kind of learn what they're about and how they work. And I'm going to show you how I actually make custom essential oil blends, and I'm making them at my table. They're $20 for little roller balls, but basically I just need one volunteer. Somebody who, I'm not going to make it here, but we'll make it over there. But come on up. I'm going to just kind of show you how it is that I go through making an essential oil blend, and then that'll give you time to fill out the little cards. So my question to you is, what do you want how do you want to feel using the oil?
Oh, I want to.
And what is your name?
Oh, my name's Beth.
Hi Beth, Joanna.
Joanna.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I am currently going through the all-powerful menopause.
Welcome to the club.
I am exhausted all the time. I'm not sleeping. I have a whole thing going. I'm not eating well either, so I'm generally fatigued.
Generally, this could be a good candidate for the Behold program, or just nutrition. But we're only focusing on the essential oils. So how do you want to feel?
I want to feel energized.
You want to feel energized. Okay. Do you have a name that you want the oil to be called? The blood.
Sunlight.
Sunlight. Okay. So what I'm doing now is muscle testing. So I'm going to find which oils would be appropriate for you.
I'm a pro at this. And I'm a pro at this now.
What? Yeah, right. No. She was at my table earlier, and she was asking, somebody sent her a blend, and why wasn't it working? And then when I muscle tested the ingredients, I'm like, the ingredients all test fine. Let me test the oils, and we did the other muscle testing, which is this one. That's my question. So it's this one where you're testing the lever and just hold on to that, and that one seems fine. If I gave her, if I can pull that one out, I'm just randomly picking one. But that one doesn't work. That one's not one that she would need. It's not to say that the essential oil is bad quality. It's just that this is not one that's going to benefit her in any way. It's actually going to drain you more. So we're working with the energy of oils. We're working with energy of foods. The body is all energy. So we're trying, with the Path to Heal work, we're raising your vibration to unconditional love. That's like 800 some hertz, So if you're at a lower level, then we've got to do something to raise that up. Sometimes it's the negative energy, the negative thoughts that are just stuck in the emotional field or the energy field of the body. So let's see. So far I've got juniper berry, bergamot, cilantro, wild orange. Serenity. Serenity is actually the opposite of uplifting, but there's something in there that needs to be calming. Yeah.
In order to get the energy.
And petitgrain. So your blend, I know this seems like a lot of oils, but that would be your blend, would be with those oils. And then typically what I do is just determine how many drops of each oil you would need to go into, I mean, if you want, here's my,
And you would do the sensitivity testing of each of these before you put them, before you do this.
well, actually, I don't need to necessarily do that because I've already tested that. I could do that to confirm it,
Okay.
but then I would basically put it into here.
Okay.
Knowing, because she came to the table already, we already know that fractionated coconut oil, which is what I use as the dilution, most people don't have an issue with it, but she has a problem with that. So if I were to make you a blend, I would give you the oils, and you would have to use your own carrier oil. You know what I mean? So, but then I would determine, do you need 1 drop of that one, 3 of that, 1 of that, 3, 1, 2, 2. So, you know, it's really customizing the blend for you and what you need, you know, but that's taking care of how you're gonna feel using the blend. Is it gonna be instantaneous? Sometimes it is. I have another video from another client that I made these for. She totally transformed right in front of my eyes. It was just like, wow.
My goodness.
Yeah, so depending on what it is that you want the oils to do, I just customize the blend for you. I have some oil blends that I created, also that I am divinely me, I am in my divine flow, I am in integrity with me. My life is beautiful. They all have kind of the same 5 oils in it, but then everybody's blend is gonna have a different combination, and I might have to add another oil or 2 to make it really, truly yours. But it gives you that same idea of, okay, if you're having issues with seeing beauty around you, maybe my Life is Beautiful blend is the one that you need. If you feel like, you know, I just need to be organized, you know, we'll find some fun name to make it, you know. I got my shit together, I don't know, you know.
I got my shit together and it's in a bottle.
Right, I got it in the bottle, exactly. So, you know, you're welcome, thank you for demonstrating. So I'm doing the custom essential oil blends at the table this weekend if anybody wants to stop by. But they're all basically customized to how you want to feel, you know. Initially when you came up, I asked you how you want to feel, and you gave me all the things that you didn't want.
Right.
You know, which we'll address some of those things, but I want to know how you want to feel, because ideally that's going to actually help your demeanor, and maybe those other things will actually balance themselves out. But we just want to know how you want to feel. Now, I want to get rid of all this junk. That might need some other stuff to get rid of that. But I can tell you that with the changes, those are something that there's an imbalance going on, and a lot of times it's nutrition in combination with the essential oils. So, and finding the things that you love to do. So, anybody else have any other questions? I also have a special today, and then of course, did anybody collect all the little cards?
I've got them.
You've got them? Are you gonna randomly pick one for me? I also have a special for the Be Whole program. So if you have, that's not the one that I was looking for. Well, I had this other awesome option. Now you're gonna have to go with the original option, which is fine. So,
The folded ones.
I thought you were gonna pick one.
I'll let you pick your.
All right, I'm gonna pick it. Kathy Rubelski. How about that? Another nice Polish name.
Yes.
That's why I was like, I looked at it, I'm like, I want to say it in Polish, Zrubeska. So, being that I'm Polish, that's what it is. And do you want me to sign it for you too?
Yes, please.
Okay, then we'll do that after class, or after the talk. You're welcome, thank you.
What's your take on meat?
What's my take on meat? Define what you mean by what's my take on meat.
Good to eat or not good?
Are you talking about a specific kind of meat, like red meat?
Yeah.
So, it depends on the individual. I mean, when I'm working with clients, it really, most of us need the amino acids in the animal proteins that we eat. And certain people need red meat, other people can be fine without it. If you're gonna be choosing red meat, you're best off having either some kind of grass-fed or wild beef. Those are gonna be your best options in terms of a healthy lipid profile or healthy essential fatty acids inside. And most of those, if you're getting the grass-fed beef, and if you get it from a local farm, I mean, we're lucky here in Pennsylvania that we've got a lot of local farms. So if you can get the grass-fed beef from a local farm, those are happy cows. When I go riding my bike, I see happy cows, and then there's one farm where I'm like, I am never eating anything from that farm. The cows don't move. The cows are like standing in the mud. And I will go by there, at let's say 7 o'clock in the morning, and if I'm coming back at 9:30, they have not moved. They are still in the same spot, salivating and waiting across the fence line. I'm like, what did they put in their feed? What are they feeding those animals? They might call them grass-fed because they stuck them outside, but that's not grass-fed. Those were unhappy cows. Those are the ones you don't want to be eating their meat because they're going to have all that negative energy, and that's going to pass on to you. The meat is not going to be as nourishing to you at all. But if you go for a hamburger at at your local bar, sometimes it's not so bad. Bless the food. Blessing the food will actually change the energy. Maybe it's changing your energy so you can accept it better, but bless the food because it does make a difference. I actually did a video on YouTube for does blessing your food actually change the energy or not? And I can't do it because I don't have my little weighted thing. But it's something where if you do, I have one on for wheat, and wheat and me, we just don't really get along that well. So I choose not to eat it that often, but if I bless it, it's actually okay. And when I do the test on myself, I don't have somebody pushing my arm. Like I can't push my arm down, that just doesn't work. So I use a little 2-pound weight, and I can hold up, when I do wheat, it's like I can only hold it to here. When I blessed it, it came back all the way up, and I'm like, well, that's weird. But that's what it does. If you blend the wheat with a high energy food like kale, that's gonna negate some of that non-energy that you're getting from the wheat. So when you're choosing the beef, you want to try to get the grass-fed as much as possible. But there are some people that can't digest it at all, so then it's not a good option at all. So to me, it's like you got to understand the person to be able to understand what the suggestions are. If somebody says you have to, you don't have to. But you don't have to avoid it either. So it just depends on how your body responds to it and if it needs it or not.
Right. And then I'm constantly afraid of seafood
Then
because of the mercury and the bottom feeders and the pollution, and I'm just like, oh my
well,
God,
you know what? If it is, you're right. So you're gonna go live in a bubble. Go grow your own food. Make your. A lot of the stuff. It's like there's so much fear around the food.
Yes.
And it's like, well, you know what? We've been surviving this long without it. Let's do 80% the best I can. I'm gonna try to choose the best I can. But what if you don't have an income that can afford the organic stuff all the time? Then you do the best you can and bless the shit out of it. No.
Eat those Fukushima shrimp.
So you just do the best you can within the means that you have.
And
You know?
even the stress, like you stressing about it so much,
It's
what that
causing
stress
the-
is
right.
causing to, it's much worse than the
Right.
mercury,
Right.
that
So-
might be on the food.
Right,
you
so
know?
it's like you have to kind of look at it in the big picture. You know, what are you doing with all the things that you're consuming? You know, are you filtering your water or are you not? Are you, what are you washing with? What do you put on your skin? You know, if you're overloaded with chemicals and stuff like that, well, you know what? Maybe your body's used to that part. You know, and just start whittling away and start working on one thing at a time. But you can't spend the whole day worrying about what am I eating? Oh my God, what's it gonna do? Oh my God, it's oh I can't go outside. It's it's rush hour. I'm gonna breathe all that stuff. Oh my God, you're not living anymore when you're in that place. You know that's why I have a problem with some of the experts out there because they have you basically you're gonna be living in a bubble and you're gonna be stressing about everything and like she said. The more you stress about it, you're not going to digest it anyway. So why bother? And then you're going to worry about eating it. You're going to just be petrified. Well, living in a state of fear doesn't help you digest the food better. It actually makes it worse. And then you're not digesting. You're not actually absorbing any of the nutrients that you think are there. And so it's all in moderation and doing the best you can 90% of the time or 80% of the time. You know.
You've got 12 minutes left.
I got 12 minutes. All right, so I was telling you, anybody else have any questions?
I did like if I ate a balanced meal and then get a craving like it wasn't quite balanced. The meal wasn't quite balanced and I'll get a craving for a little more carb or something.
Okay.
Why is that, where is that coming from?
So without actually seeing the whole diet plan for a day. So the question that she asked is, sometimes I'm eating what I consider a balanced meal, but then I get the cravings for some kind of carbohydrate. Where is that coming from? Well, not knowing what exactly she's eating and what she considers a balanced meal, maybe my balanced meal isn't as balanced as what your meal is, and maybe it's not balanced enough to actually accommodate what your body actually needs. Because somebody in some book said this is what a balanced meal looks like. But your balanced meal is different than his balanced meal, different than her balanced meal, different than his. So it might be that something needs to be tweaked a little bit more, and it might be that you need more fat. Maybe you need a little bit more vegetables. Maybe it's a different kind of carbohydrate that you need. Maybe it's a balancing of the timing of the meals. That's part of the issue that you're craving the carbohydrates. So without actually seeing a day or two of food logs, I kind of am guessing on where it's coming from, but a lot of times if it's the same thing that you're craving day in, day out, at about the same time after a certain meal, it might be an emotional issue. It might be that meal isn't quite balanced right, the way that your body actually needs it to be balanced. Maybe you do actually need a little bit more carbohydrate in that earlier meal to make it balanced, and then you don't crave it later. Maybe it's something else. But it's hard to make a guess and say, ooh, it's this. It's one of those 3 or 4 things. So if you wanna really know what it is, you might need, you might schedule some time with me and we can kind of sort through it. So I was telling you about I have a special tonight, and it's gonna be for all weekend, even though I just said it's tonight. But because you're here, you'll know about it. So I have the Be Whole program, and it basically includes the nutrition sessions plus the energy work and a custom essential rollerball blend. So today I'm having it for $550 instead of $750. So that way you get a little bit more for a little bit less, and actually that's kind of a lot less. I'm gonna throw in, when I get the book published, you're gonna get a link to the Kindle version of it so that you can have that as well. And that's really it. So if you are interested, I'm gonna leave these out, or I'm gonna just pass it around. You can take one and pass it on. I'm gonna be here all weekend if you have any questions, and you can also contact me at www.nutritioninmotion.net. And you can, on the sheets that I gave you out, there's a link on the bottom that if you want a 15-minute chat with me, just to say, you know what, I've got this issue, I don't know where to start, then just go to that link on there, and just schedule the 15 minutes with me. You can also do it on your phone, where you can actually call 444, I think it's 444-999, and just put in NIM 15, and it'll send you to the same place to schedule that time. But that'll give you the 15 minutes to call me, talk to me, ask me whatever's going on, and what do I suggest? Because sometimes you just need the first step to take. It's not a mountain, it's just what do you need to do next? And I can help you with that. So if you have any questions, call me or look me up on www.nutritioninmotion.net. I also have a sign-up sheet if you wanted to get on my email list. Okay? So thank you all for coming. And if you have any questions, you know how to call, get a hold of me. Thank you.